Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Peace Within the Journey of Forgiveness. I have Miss Diana Reigns in the building.
Hi, everyone.
We used to work with each other, y'all. And she has a beautiful testimony. And I wasn't aware of this, and I'm so glad you wanted to share on my platform. I am so grateful. So let's just jump in and please tell us how you begin or how did you get to this peace through forgiveness?
Well, I was married for several years, and when my husband was 30 and I was 29, my husband was brutally murdered, and I had a daughter that was 3.5 at the time.
Okay.
And so that was a long and hard process. I had to go through a year before it went to trial.
Okay.
And the trial was bad because they prepared me for what they were going to ask me. But she couldn't prepare me for what his side is.
His lawyer.
So they try to make me look like a bad person.
Wow.
So I also, when my husband was murdered, I was getting details about how the murder happened.
Oh, wow.
And so I had some time to prepare. I thought that he didn't suffer.
Okay.
And then close to trial, I found out that he did. So that was another setback. So I had a lot of anger and guilt and this and that, so many emotions. Like when I first found out that my husband was murdered, like emotions just swarmed around. Like I wouldn't wish it on my enemy.
Oh, yeah.
So the case went through. He's in jail for life. And when we had to go back for sentencing, we were allowed to read things out loud, like how we feel and everything. So when I was writing my stuff in there, I made a statement that I wish I would have found you before the police did. And they told me that the state's attorney's office told me that I couldn't say that.
Okay.
And I said the key word was before.
Yeah.
So the day of the trial, it was like a blessing. Like news came and they said we didn't have to write a script. We didn't have to write it down. We could freely say what we wanted.
And they knew that was from emotions.
We could really say what we wanted. So what I wanted to say before, now I could have it without any rules or anything like that. So we got that done. And when I knew the guy's parents were dead.
Oh, wow.
They had passed away. So I kind of mentioned his parents in that they would be disappointed in him that he did that. And he lunged at me. They had shackles on him, but they had taken off his handcuff, and he lunged at me.
Wow.
Because I hit him
in
in his heart.
Yeah.
And so that went on, and everything. Then after all of that was closed up, and then you got your next phase, which is like usually 3 years later or whatever, when, and another thing is the murder was so bad, like when the judge looks at pictures,
Oh, wow.
of what they can use for evidence,
Okay.
the judge only looked maybe at 10 and said he couldn't use any more.
Wow.
He didn't want to see anymore.
Wow.
So,
Okay, let's pause for the cause, because they told you how he was murdered. Can you tell us why? Do you know why this person did this to your husband?
they, well, before, the day before the murder,
Mm-hmm.
I went across the street
Okay.
to this house.
Okay.
Okay, drugs were involved.
Okay.
And so I went across the house to see if he was in this one house.
Okay.
And the guy who killed my husband was sitting there, and he had beers and stuff. And he's drinking, he looked angry, and my husband wasn't in the house, and there was a bunch of people in the back doing their thing. And I just, if somebody's angry, so I just try and talk to them or
Okay.
see what's going on. So I'm like, what's the matter? You look upset. He's like, 3 MFers broke into my house. And I'm like,
And that was his house, the one you went to?
no,
Okay.
no, it was somebody else's house.
Okay.
And I'm like, and then when he said that, I remembered the week before, my husband telling me that, oh yeah, he told me about that. And he said it was 3 people, 2 men and a woman.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, but just take caution
Yeah.
when you're around him, because he thinks it was you.
Oh, wow.
And so when I was there at the time, talking to the guy, my husband was around, I said, why? Do you think my husband is involved? And he skipped the question, and he just said, where's Bobby at? And, you get feelings about certain things, and good or bad or whatever. And I was having that bad feeling, and I said, I don't know. That's why I came over here to look for him. And then he kept going back to that question, and I'm like, and I said, you know what? I said, even if I knew where he was at, I wouldn't tell you at this point.
Basically.
I wouldn't tell you. So I had warned my husband, and he just kind of blew it off, and he said, I said, well, just take caution.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of that scenario, and then it happened the next day. But it was crazy. When I first met my husband, so I'm sitting on the steps and I see this guy walking down, we were young then, we were like 16 and everything. I'm like, man, he looks nice. And then I just kind of overlooked it and just sitting there, and this man's voice, I could swear that it was God saying that you're going to marry him.
Okay.
And I was like,
we all waiting for that voice.
Yeah.
We all waiting.
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't even know him. And he said, yes. He said, you will get to know him and you will marry him.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. And I just kind of blew it off.
Okay.
And whatever, but it worked out.
Amen.
And we got married, and we were married like 9-10 years before this murder happened. And so I didn't hear that voice the whole time when we were married or anything. The day before my husband got killed, I was sitting there, and my husband come in, that voice came again. He said, say your goodbyes.
Oh, wow.
And I could feel it, and my heart felt like a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And it was deep. And I said, no. I said, please don't take him away. I said, you gave him to me. And the voice said, say your last goodbyes. This is the last goodbye. I thought I was going to have a heart attack because it was hurting, and that voice was deep. Yes, and it was meaningful.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the next day, he was murdered.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and I haven't, I didn't hear any voices or anything afterwards. And so after the court process and everything was done, I was angry. Like, my sister-in-law tried to get me to go to church. And I just couldn't bring myself to go to church because I was blaming it on God.
Okay.
Like, he gave me this person and then he took him out of my life. So I just couldn't be there. But I knew that God's everywhere, so you can talk to him wherever you want.
Thank you.
You can talk to him wherever. You don't have to go to church to believe in God.
Right.
And so at the time, I just didn't want to do any talking. I had to, the saying goes, you got to love yourself before you can love anyone else, or anybody else can love you. So I had a lot of work to do. I hated, like, my in-laws would take me to outings or parks and things, and they meant well and everything like that. But I hated seeing couples together. I hated seeing them in love and holding hands and stuff. And I'm like, I just don't want to be this person, but I don't know how to get through this and stuff and all. And I knew, and I would watch on TV certain church ceremonies, ministries and everything. And they talk about, forgiveness, but I wasn't at that point. I was like, I can't do that. He took, my husband, the guy took my husband away. He took all my years away. He took my daughter's father away. He took our future away. Like, he took so much. So I wasn't at that point where I could forgive. I just didn't know how. Like, I didn't, I thought it meant if I forgive him, that it would be that I meant that it's okay that he killed my husband.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that that's not what it was about. So I thoughts come through my head. I would listen to, what people say and just, talk with God and, stuff like that. And I know that, like, I even, they say that sometimes when people die, that they go straight to heaven.
Okay.
And then some of them, when they're not finished with what they have on earth, they stay around and stuff. And I just wasn't unsure, and I didn't know my husband was around, but sometimes I thought he was around. So I would just talk out loud, talk in my head, and but this one incident, I'm a believer now. I am a believer. I had I had a dream one night
Okay.
that my husband came to me in a dream, and my husband's father was never around in his life.
Excuse me, sorry.
Was,
Sorry, y'all.
wasn't around in his life,
Okay.
and so he hated his
Oh,
father,
wow.
and just, he never,
Forgave.
yeah. So in this dream, he came to me, and I was like, wow. I said, you're not, I said, I know you're in a good place, and I hated that you had to leave like that. And I don't understand why some people got to leave this earth violently,
Yeah.
and others just pass peacefully.
Yeah.
And I said, but I know you're no longer, dealing with, drugs and things like that. I said, so how is heaven? And he said, it is so wonderful.
Wow.
He said, so wonderful and peaceful, and just, he said, the words just, I can't, I don't have words. And he said, and you know what? He said, I'm getting to know my Father. And I said, oh, I thought he was getting to know God, because he never, went to church or anything like that. And I'm like, oh man, that is so nice. I said, that is so good. He said, no. He said, I'm getting to know my biological father. And I'm like, what? I said, I thought you hated him. He said, no, there is no hate in heaven.
Amen.
He said, there is no hate in heaven. There is nothing like that. It's just peaceful, and it's so wonderful.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. And he said this word. Now, when back in the day when we were in our teens and 20s, we would laugh about the word gay, because not gay as in a sense,
but it means happy and definition.
Yes, that word. So he said, it is, I'm getting to know my dad and stuff, and he said, it's so peaceful and loving and gay. And I started laughing, and I'm like, oh my God, you used that word.
And you knew that dream was sufficient
Yeah,
for you.
he said that word, and I'm like, you never use that word. He said, well, and here, that's the words to describe this place. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, I said my goodbyes, and I said, if you can stick around, or whatever, whenever then you go away. And then another validation was 3 days after my husband was murdered. So when my little girl, she was 3.5 when he passed away. So he would sing to her, "You are my sunshine."
Oh, wow.
And so like the third night, like that part with my little girl being 3.5 and having to tell her her dad passed away. So since it was in the city has a, like through the state's attorney, they have a counselor just for murder victims' families and stuff. And that lady there, she was an elderly lady, she was so good. And she was
well experienced.
So we would go there, and my little girl would talk to her and stuff and all. So that night we went home and we were sleeping. Like I had my back facing the wall, and she was just, laying straight up. It was quiet. We were sleeping. Then it must have been like 1, 2 in the morning, whatever. I hear her say, "Hi, Daddy."
Ooh.
And I was like, I wanted to turn around, and but I'm like, no, I don't want to interfere in this. And she said, "What?" She said, "I love you too." And she said, what? You want me to sing the song for you? And she started singing, You Are My Sunshine. Look, tears.
Look, I'm holding back my tears. Like, oh my
Tears
God.
were rolling down my
Wow.
face. And she said, after she got done, she said, I love you too, Daddy. She said, okay. And then it went silent.
Wow.
And that was it. I was like,
Mm.
but anyway, when I was telling you about how he came to me in a dream, and he said that he was getting to know his father, and he said that gay word. So I was at my mother's house, staying at my mother's house with my little girl, and his parents lived in the city.
Okay.
So we went in the city, and I went to see my mother-in-law, see how she's doing and stuff.
Hold on, I'm sorry. City, where y'all from?
We was like Highland
Okay.
area,
Okay.
like around that
And
area.
that's in the city?
Highland Canton
Okay.
area.
Okay.
Yes. And so I see my mother-in-law there, and she looked up and she said, I had a dream last night, and Bobby came to me in a dream, and my eyes was getting like a deer in headlights, right? And I wasn't saying nothing. I wanted to see what her dream was about. And she said, I said, well, what was the dream about? And she was like, he came to me and he said, told me, Mom, it's okay. And he said, I'm getting to know my real dad, my biological dad. And she said, well, that's good. And the whole time I'm like this. And she said, and he told me that heaven was peaceful and loving and gay. And she said, I started cracking up laughing when he said that word. I said, oh my God. She said, what's the matter? I said, it really did happen. I said, he came to exactly what you said, and we're not even in the same room. We're separated miles apart. And I said, so it did happen. He did come.
I'm just loving how God works. Like hearing your story is like,
wow, because they say that God talks to you and God shows you signs, but you have to be like to pay attention.
Yeah.
And like even loved ones that may be in this realm before they go on,
okay,
and they show you signs that they're still around and stuff like that. But you have to be open enough to know what hey, this, and so years later, after that, I was still grieving, still crying, and I still wasn't motivated as much. And my husband, again, this was a dream, he came to me and he said, you can't be doing this to yourself.
wow.
He said, you can't be doing this to yourself. He said, I'm gone, I'm happy now. And he said, you need to go meet somebody and go on with your life. You deserve it. And he says, I have a new lady in my life. And I was like, what?
I was about to say, I want to help me understand.
And he said a name, right? And I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you're happy, right? And then I was hurt. Right? And then I was thinking, well, you know what? Maybe he said that to get me to go on, to push me to go on and stuff and everything.
Okay.
I was like, but I was
you was jelly
that. Yes. I was like, why would you tell me that? But afterwards, I'm like, sometimes we don't understand
that is true.
What the reason for things are. And, even after that, like, I started meeting people and this and that, but I saw that baggage and, this and that. And then I had met, a couple, people, you had your ups, your downs, and stuff and all.
Could be
And then
pretentious.
I finally met this guy that my husband now.
Your husband
Right.
now.
So when I first met him, I was like, nah.
Okay, so why you say man?
Because
You still
he
hold
just
on?
was like not.
Were you comparing to your last?
No, I wasn't comparing. It's just, sometimes you have some standards.
Oh, well, hey, but ain't no wrong with standards, please. Let's have standards. Okay, so it's more than
So
that.
I was having, I had standards. So I was just there to, as companionship,
Okay.
meet him and hang out and stuff like that.
Let's
But,
go dating.
so I was like, I had no intentions. And then, we broke up for 2 weeks, come back, broke up 2 weeks and come back and all. But the funny thing is, before I met him, this is crazy. So I met him on Plenty of Fish app because a coworker,
Told you about the
a
PO.
coworker,
Told you about the dating apps.
a coworker had told me, because I don't know nothing about this. I am not no
a widow.
media thing or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, how do you do this? So when she told me, then I was able to do it, right? So I
Hold
was
up,
like,
time out. How old were you when this process started?
50.
And you said your ex-husband was murdered when you was 30?
Mm-hmm.
It took you 20 years to date again? Okay, let's pause that part. In that 20 years, what were you like? What was it?
No relationship because
You just focus on your daughter.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you have to learn to love yourself
Okay.
before
That's true.
anybody
And
else
I'm
can
glad
love
you
you.
do that. Yeah.
So in that time, yeah, I met some people,
Okay.
and it just, I wasn't, just my standards, and I still had the baggage of anger
Okay.
and that. So I guess that plays a part because I was like,
At least you knew that you was in an unhealthy state and you didn't want to move forward in a relationship because that would have carried on into could have been a healthy relationship, but you're unhealthy and it wouldn't have balanced
exactly. When you're unhealthy, then you can't, you don't want to bring that into, and you don't know what
the other
true
person
love is. And that's another thing. Like, I didn't really know there was a difference between loving somebody and being in love with somebody.
I could love you all day, but trust me, I know I'm not in love because I don't want no ever from with me.
Right, because I was like, I really didn't know because, I'm in my I was in my teens when I met him, and in my early 20s, and he was taken from me at 30. So I really didn't know.
It's a whole new life for you now.
Until afterwards, till I got healthy and everything, and I
did you go see
all this,
or you did the work on your own?
Myself.
Okay. Can you give us a little insight of how you did the work on your own? What was that process like?
Just it's kind of hard to say. I just listened and asked questions. I, talked to people that were in relationships, and I talked to other people. For instance, one of our co-workers where I work at had her son taken away from her violently. And then a couple years later, her second son was taken the same way.
Oh, wow.
So I
bonded
instantly with her because she gave me strength of how to carry out, because her weight was much more than what I was carrying. And So she was like my role model,
Okay.
and I listened
Okay.
to what she had to say and everything. So I kind of, would talk to God and say, I don't know how to go from this stage to this, and, talk, talk to different people in good relationships,
Yeah.
healthy relationships.
That's the key there.
And so, I had to, the first big key was I had to relearn who I am
Okay.
without my husband.
Okay.
And yet, while I'm doing this work, I had to also be strong for my daughter.
Yeah.
And there was many times with emotional weight
Mm.
that I wanted to put myself away in a mental health
Oh wow.
center.
Yeah.
But even though my mom was there for me and everything, I felt if I did that, then I would be a bad mom
Oh.
to my daughter because I wouldn't be there for her.
Okay.
So I kind of had to work on myself and then be with my daughter and be there for her.
I get it.
And
A
you
mother.
know,
Ooh.
and the state's attorney, homicide victim center,
Okay.
the lady was telling me that little kids, when there's trauma and things like that, their brain in the front is not developed to a point where they can remember everything to a certain age.
Yeah.
I think it was like 5 or something like that. And so she was like, when you talk to your daughter about this, be honest in a way,
Okay.
but don't say that Daddy went to sleep because she might
Find out.
be scared to go to sleep.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
think she'll
Attach it to yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So what I did was, that's another hard mountain to go over, is when you tell your daughter that her daddy is dead.
Mm.
Like, you're not sure what she'll really understand at 3.5
Yeah.
or whatever. But let me tell you, I was blown away and not ready for what happened.
Wow.
Like, I told her, I know they understand that there are bad people in the world and there are good people in the world. So what I did was, I just told her that that a bad man killed your dad, and so it's just going to be you and me.
Okay. Hold on, let's pause for the cause, because I like how you said bad people and good people in the world. I use there are unhealthy people and healthy people in the world, because we can always transition, we can always change, we can always come to like how we forgive to get healthy. That unhealthy person does has a chance to turn to be healthy.
Right.
So I just want to
Right.
I get what you're saying, because that's what we say it, but I also use unhealthy.
But I was, right,
Yeah.
because when you're talking to a kid, they might not understand.
Yeah,
healthy.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah,
But
at that
good
age.
and bad, they do know good and bad. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but I also want to let people know that unhealthy and healthy, because we can always transition and change to get better.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yes.
let's pray the person, that guy,
Yes.
became healthy in prison, and
Yes, let's hope for that.
Yeah. So.
But so I let her know that, and like I was sobbing because Ooh, that was so hard to do.
Yeah.
She walked away and she come back with a tissue box, gave it
I
to
love
me,
children.
and she put her hand on my hand and she said, Mommy, it's okay. I'll take care of you now. Blew
Oh,
my
my
mind. Blew my mind. I was
so
like,
precious.
oh, no. I said, I'm here for you. I will continue to be here for you for, a long time. I said, you don't have to take that responsibility.
Amen.
I said, that's my responsibility.
That's good.
But it's good that you're here
that
for
was
me.
The way her love.
Yes.
Her love.
Yeah, but who would have thought
Yeah.
for her to say that, like at 3 and a
I
half?
I don't understand little children. They are a blessing. A
They
miracle.
are like so receptive of stuff.
Like
They're just like so, yeah. So, ooh, yeah, that was a hard one. And so I had to get through all of that and be stronger. But it took years before getting in and out of relationships, and I'm like, okay, this is not working. And like I said, then I was getting ready to stop looking on Plenty of Fish and work more on myself and everything, right? And I said, God, you picked a good one for me before. You told me I would marry my husband. And I said, and then he got taken. You took him for a reason. And I said, I don't understand that. I still don't understand that. I said, but I think it's time. I've done some work on myself. I love myself completely. I don't want anybody disrespecting me, this and that. I did my work. I know you've seen it and everything like that. And I'm ready. I said, I'm 50 years old, God. I'm 50 years old. And I said, I don't want to die alone.
I'm with you.
I don't want to die alone.
Amen.
And I said, so can you please show me a sign? Like, I opened the app up. I said, is there anybody in here? I said,
I'm laughing because I understand. We are here.
I said, can you show me a sign? I'm very receptive to signs. And I was going like this and everything. And I'm like, and then I see, a picture of my husband now, but he was like driving a boat, right? And he's bald head and he's, this burly guy. And I'm like, and this is funny, I'm like, I never dated a bald headed man. Like a random silly thought. And I'm going like this, I'm like, wait a minute. I went back to that picture. I'm like, why does it look 3D? Like it looked like it was standing out to me, right? Wow. And I was like, that's weird. Let me look at the other ones and see if they look like that. And they weren't. And look like that. I went back to the picture again. I'm like, whoa. I went like that again.
It was like jumping out at
you. What? It was like, he was like standing out of the picture like it looked 3D. Whoa. And I was like, okay, I went 3 times, right? His picture was the only one like that. And I went, this must be a sign. I said, thank you. I will give it a try.
And it worked out.
And you have your rough moments and stuff. And he has 2 great sons. Okay. I never had a son. I got 2 daughters. And he has 2, and they're right around the same ages as my daughters. It was a rough start. Like I said, we were together, broke up, and then I was coming back to get my stuff to say that's it, because you're not going to treat me this way, put my standards up. And
The
I
boundaries.
tell you what, when I started to go get my stuff, he grabbed my hand, pulled me back in, and he said, he bowed his head and he said, please forgive me for my actions, for my mouth. And he said, I would please give me another chance.
Okay.
And for me, I've never heard a man say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And that's deep.
Yeah.
For a man to be able to say he is sorry.
Humbled himself, yeah.
Yeah, like, and he actually, like, even had a tear in his eye. I'm like, wow, I've never seen this side.
He knew, yeah.
And I'm like,
he knew you was gone. He was like,
I'm like, okay. I said, like,
let me get my stuff together.
I said, 3 strikes, that's it. I said, that was 2. I said,
wow.
yeah. I'm like, I'm not putting myself in this. I don't deserve, to be treated like that. And I said, after that, it was different. And like a month later, he introduced me to his sons.
Okay.
And everything. And then like years later, I mean, like I said, I didn't get married until 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how old were you in 2021? I'm sorry if we asked for your age.
57.
Okay. No, I'm just asking so people can understand.
57.
You still can find love. There's no age barrier. It's no cap of the age. You still can find love.
Yeah.
Were you able to share with him your past? And
so yeah,
okay.
I did share it with him and everything, and so I didn't know, because when we were together, he went through a really, really bad divorce.
Oh, wow.
His wife cheated on him and just everything.
So he had to work
bad.
his forgiveness.
She tried to put him in jail and
What?
everything like that. So he said he would never, ever, ever get married.
Wow.
And never.
He was hurt. Wow.
Yeah, he was. Wow. He was in a really bad place.
Wow.
So, so I didn't know that he didn't even ask me to marry them. So one day I was just in the living room and just talking to God about random things and everything. And I said, you know what, I'm going to give this. I'm going to do it, because what do I got to lose? And I said, and it's not about him. I said, it's about me. And I said, God, I forgive the man that killed my husband. I've done work on myself, and I understand, and I'm wiser now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I understand the meanings of things now.
Okay.
And everything. And I said it. I forgive, and I said the man's name, and I said it 4 times.
Okay.
I said it, and it kind of felt like a magic wand, like
we call it. I call it like worship, but you wasn't in the worship of music, but a worship of releasing. We just gonna say negative energy out of you, and you can feel the weight coming off you, and you were just in this spirit of just manifesting your illness through what you were speaking out of your mouth.
Yeah, like I said it, and it was almost like a magic wand. Like I felt, like I did, like I felt the weight of the hate and everything that was attached to me and everything, and I just felt like it was released.
And I'm glad you
released
that.
And I was like, and then afterwards I was like, wow, that felt good. I was like, I feel lighter. Like, when you get your hair cut.
Yeah. No, and people don't understand. It was trauma for you, and people don't understand trauma connects to us physically. And that's why people ask, go to therapy, forgive, work on yourself, like you was working on yourself, so that the things that weight can get off you. It's a song, shackles off your feet so I can dance, something like that. So now it's like you're free. The shackles is coming off that stuff that impact you, and you didn't know
like
all
barnacles.
Yeah.
They had
So now you out here free and expressive.
Like I gave it up to God.
Yeah.
And that's
And I like
what
how God just
happened.
wait patiently for you.
Yeah, and like and that's what I did. I thanked him. I thanked him for being patient with me.
Amen.
While I did the work. Because I thought he doesn't do the work. You have to do the work. He'll be there for you.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work.
Amen.
And when you're early in your 20s and stuff, and you're going through this trauma, you think you know everything.
No, that's what I'm
Just like the teenagers. When they're in that stage, they know everything.
We look like live a little boo boo.
Right. Right. And so like I was in my 20s, I thought I knew everything, this and that. No. You don't get wiser till you go through your storms and everything. And they teach you, and they might whip your butt sometimes. But yeah, so like and it was released. And I was like, you know what? Then I was like, it wasn't about him. It was all me.
Yeah.
I did it for me. And that's what forgiveness is about.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. It was wow. And like
revelation, like, woo.
Yeah, and like my daughter that was 3.5, she's now like 32.
Okay.
And like I said, I never told her that I forgave the man, because I thought she would be angry or upset with me. Because I don't know, like, it took me a while to understand forgiveness, so I didn't think she would understand.
Yeah.
When I said that, and I was driving, and I'm sobbing away, and everything like that, and then, like I said, another door opened when she said, Ma, I know you loved my dad, and you'll never forget that. She said, but you talking about that and forgiving him, maybe that's the final door to your closure. And it was like, boom, like that blew my mind. I was like, wow, you know what?
And a door.
I think.
Hold up. And a door for you to start helping others too. Because it's people out here similar to the situation we go through.
Yeah, because we never know what somebody is going through.
Yeah.
We don't know what people are going through.
Yeah, because I didn't know what. Been gone from that job, for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine, didn't even know, just saying hi, I was smiling at you. You're experiencing and going through this while you're working and taking care of your daughter. So you're working, single mom, widow, going through all this while you're walking on this face of this earth.
Yeah, we just never know what the person next to us is going through and everything. And another inspiration in this story was when this happened and everything. I moved to my mother's house out in Glen Burnie.
Okay.
And I wanted my daughter to get in pre-K.
Okay.
So there at the one school in Glen Burnie, their pre-K was closed, but the school next door was a special needs school, special education school.
Oh.
So they put them in with the special needs kids, and so they don't look at kids differently.
So everything, okay.
Yes, they don't,
like
and they learn sign language.
Oh, wow.
And they interact with the kids in wheelchair, and I'm like, that is so great.
And
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
And then they understand each other's abilities and everything. And so she went there and everything. And I needed something to occupy my mind. So I started volunteering there.
Okay.
And I volunteered in the art room because I love doing things with art and stuff like that. So I got to interact with different, ages of kids in there because it's like from pre-K till they graduate at 21, that school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't graduate until they're 21.
Yeah.
Some of them, it depends on their degree, they graduate at 18.
Okay.
But in that school, they don't
learn
until they're 21. Okay. So I got to, in the art room, I got to work and everything. And you never know how you impact people.
That's true.
You never know. Like, I was coming today to volunteer in work. I said, I don't want to be in my daughter's classroom because I don't want to, her to lean on me. I want her to be independence and everything. And so I said, yeah. So I started working in an art room, working with different ages. And I was coming to work every day. And this is part of my journey to help myself.
Okay.
And I was helping them while I was getting ready. I was dealing with the court system and getting ready to go to trial because it took a whole week. The trial did. So I was dealing with that and then coming in and dealing with them and working with them and learning their abilities, and they're all smiling. They come in, hey, Miss Diane, and they're waving this and that. It's just melting my heart. Like, I was like, wow, And I had to be off of work during that trial.
Okay.
And I was out, and the art teacher called me on like the middle of the week, Wednesday, and she said, Diane, I know you're going through something really traumatic and thing and everything. We appreciate your time here. She said, but do you remember Jamie? And so she's at the job where I work at now, right?
Okay.
But she was at the school when I worked. A lot of them at the school where I worked at, volunteered at, and had a job there. Years later, when I got the job here, where I work at now, all of them remember me from there, right? So when I was volunteering there and I was off 3 days, the trial and everything and all, she said, but Jamie insisted that I call you and see how you are doing because she's very worried about you because you haven't come in 3 days.
They are so sweet.
Girl, I was bawling my eyes out.
Oh, wow.
She inspired me to be stronger than what I am because I was like, you know what? I am going through something hard.
Yeah.
But they go through life, their whole life, with all these disabilities every single day.
Yeah.
Mine is only a temporary storm. Theirs is a lifetime.
Yeah.
And they come in every day smiling and working through their abilities.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Pull yourself together.
Sometimes
and
you gotta
figure
have
it out.
That strong talk. I'm talking
Right.
to myself the
And I
same
was
way.
like, if they come through smiling every day, then I can get through this and I can smile. And I can be stronger than what I am now. And that was my inspiration. And like when I went for my job interview where I was at and all, And Miss Colleen was the one that interviewed
Okay.
me and all. And look, and she, I don't know what, she said, what is your inspiration or something or whatever and all. And like, I started bawling. And I said, I used to work at that school and and they come in every day smiling with their abilities and stuff. And I said, so, you know what? Here I am. Like, I promised God from the very beginning when I was in my 20s and stuff, like 3 different occasions, He saved my life. Like, I could have died. And He told me what to do. I followed what He told me to do. So, I'm just following through. I said to Him when I was talking to Him, God, if you get me through this very traumatic event, I will work to serve you.
Amen.
I will work to serve you. And look, I have been in the field of disabilities, working with people with disabilities, children, adults, since my husband, 84.
Oh, wow.
My husband was killed.
Okay.
84 or something like that, 85. Because my oldest daughter was born in 90.
Okay.
So she was in, so like about 85. And so, I mean, it was 94. Yeah, 94. 94. And I said, I will serve you. So since 94 and 95, I've been in this field, helping children and adults and everything. So I've been serving the Lord, just
Amen.
helping all the ones with disabilities and everything like that.
It's a great, I mean, it told me a lot when I started working there because I wasn't aware. You know, you see things, but I didn't interact with people with disabilities,
Right.
and it just opened my heart.
Yeah, and it's like now, my husband is going, you see him, he's big and burly, but he will break down. And like St. Jude commercial,
He's like,
he'll cry.
that little baby one, the little guy.
Oh, I don't know.
That one
it
would be
tags
getting
on
me.
his heart. And sometimes when that's a funny thing. Before I found him,
Okay.
I wrote on. Well, I didn't write, but in my head, I was telling God these things that I wanted in a man. And one of them was because I didn't laugh for a long time. I wanted somebody that would make me laugh. Because I needed laughter and smiles in my life. I needed that back.
Okay.
And I said, and I need somebody that's going to appreciate me.
Amen.
For who I am and for what I do for them and stuff and everything. And you know what? Everything I asked for, it took a long time, but
you have it.
yes.
The point
Yes,
is,
and
you have it.
He will tell me, like some of his conversations when he tells me about how much he loves and appreciates me, it's deep. Like I don't even go that deep. Like he goes deep. I was like, wow, okay. I'm like, he's like, my love for you, like you are the sun rises and sets in you. He said,
make me cry.
yeah, he's like,
That's
the sun
a-
rises
wow.
and sets in you. He said, I wake up to you in the mornings and I go to bed, come to bed at night, and you're there for me. And you know, you help me through this and that. And you know, his sons, you know, they, one is 21 and the other is 19.
Okay.
And they all the whole time, like I was with them and everything, and they were like, Miss Diane, this was before we even got married and everything. They're like, Miss Diane, I just want to say thank you. And I'm like, for what? What do you want to thank me for? for changing my dad. I'm like, no, wait a minute. I didn't do that. I can't change anybody.
That's true. But you made an
They
impact in
have
his
to
life.
change. They have to want to change.
Yeah.
And I said, so I guess me being there and stuff, I don't know. I said, but
He was his inspiration.
your dad changed himself.
Wow.
So I didn't do it.
Mm.
So, and I kept, every time somebody say that, like
Yeah.
even his friends, and you know, when he was telling me about who he was, he
You gave him purpose to change.
yeah.
I was like, oh, listen, you gave him purpose.
He used to, he was telling me, like, he used to be a Army Ranger and stuff and all, and he was like, some of the things I had to go through were so deep and dark, and, you know, and he said when I was in school, I fought a lot, and this and that, and he said, but you know what? Everything, he said, everything has changed since I met you.
Wow.
He said, I'm not that person anymore. I'm a better person.
Wow.
Like, sometimes he gets me when he talks deep.
I know. I haven't even met the man, but I'm loving on him already. Like, girl, God gave you 2 good men in your life.
So I was just crying sometimes when he talks about that.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm like, and he'll tell me, he said, I said, no, I didn't change you.
Yeah.
Please don't give me credit for that. You change yourself. Just like my sister, she's addicted to drugs and stuff. And she lives in an unhealthy relationship with an unhealthy person and stuff and everything. And I tried to help her 3 times. And I finally had to let go, let God, because I didn't want to carry that weight.
Yeah, I'm about to say it could be too much for you.
Right,
Yeah.
I didn't want that. And I just told her, you know, I can't change you. You have to change yourself. You have to want to get out of that relationship. You have to want better for yourself. You have to learn to love yourself and all. I don't know how. I said, I can't teach you that.
Yeah.
I said, go to church or just talk to God wherever you're at. I can't do that journey. You have to do that journey.
Tell her.
You have to do that journey.
Yes.
And I said, if you just want to call and talk, we can talk. I'm there for you. But don't tell me things that are going in there. I can't help you.
Yeah.
So you have to work that out. You have to make calls to the social worker or whoever you got to do. You have to. I said, once you take those steps in calling this social worker, calling this person, saying you want to get in rehab, because I got her that far.
Okay.
Free of charge and everything. Oh, wow. And then the last minute he'll be telling her, I said, the devil's talking to you. I said, don't listen. I said, your family that loves you, we want to help you, but you have to do it. So when you get in rehab, when you make it and get in rehab and you stay in rehab, then I'll help you with the rest of your journey.
Oh, that's right.
But you got to do the hard part.
Yeah. Make them start walking towards it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like my husband right now, he's going through a tough situation where right before New Year's this year, up in Annapolis, has been on TV, and a friend of his, 61 years old, was walking home, and a hit-and-run driver hit him and left him for dead. But let me tell you, his daughter asked for prayers and everything like that. He got flown to shock trauma in Prince George's County, Fargo, Maryland.
Yeah, the new one.
And, that's nice. That's nice. And let me see, he had traumatic brain injury where a piece of his head and stuff, and none of his legs were broke. He had some fractures here and there and stuff, but other than that, and like I said, my big burly husband, but once we went to see him and everything, I've seen and I understand traumatic brain injury and stuff and all, and I know God works wonders. And when we come out of there, my husband was crying. I said, it's okay. Just because you're a man, you know that old, many years ago they were taught they cannot cry.
Yeah.
You know, it was sissy to cry, stuff like that and everything, but it's not. I said, it's okay. I said, that shows your heart.
Yeah.
That shows your heart and your emotions. Like, you know, that you're human.
Basically.
We all have tears. That's what they're for.
Thank you.
To
We
come
are
out.
humans to express.
Right. So we go up there, and I tell you what, I don't even think it's not even been a month.
Okay.
And he came out of ICU.
Ooh.
And he's in the step down from that, the next step down, it's another ACU or something, acute.
Okay.
He's in that, so
He's improving.
Right,
Okay.
he's like
Okay.
talking.
Oh, wow.
Some words you can understand
Okay.
and stuff, and like I told my husband, I said, now, he may not remember, it's too early.
Okay.
And he may. I said, people are praying. I said, it works.
Amen.
And I said, he's alive. He's alive. He got thrown 30 feet. And I said, I said, he doesn't have any broken legs and his arms are working, other than when you're hit on your left side. Yeah, your left side works your right side.
Oh, it switches.
So it's always opposite.
Oh, yeah.
So and they had, when they finally, a week or two when we went, they took the bandages off, they took the thing out of his mouth.
Okay.
And he is a strong-willed man. He's a strong-willed man. And so it was even more traumatic for my husband, because now my husband's seeing all the stitches.
Okay.
And they haven't put the pieces of his skull back together because of the swelling.
Okay.
But he's still talking. You can see the stitches. And he's lucky he didn't lose his eye, because it was right where the eyebrow is. It's like a big chunk there, but it's indented.
Oh, wow.
And he's got stitches, and then on the other side, but he's like, my husband asked him, do you know who I am? And he's like, yeah. And, but, so his daughter was there, and she said, Rob, whatever you do, don't help him. Because you know what he was doing? He was wanting my husband to take it out and take all the stuff off of him and get him out of there. Yeah, and then look, so they had him like these straps on his arm, because I'm not thinking that he's at that point.
So he is trying.
You know how you do it, helmet like that? I kept seeing him do that and then look out in the hallway, right?
He tried to
What's he up to, right? And then I seen him take his one arm and go like that, right? I'm like, what's he doing? It didn't hit me till we left. He knew he could stretch the ropes. Yeah.
You better sit still and just get healthy healed.
Yeah. And so the next time when we went to see him, right? My husband asked him, said, were you going to your friend's house that night, Paul's house, or were you going home? Because he takes care of his 90-year-old dad. And he said he was going home. He nodded to, he's going home. And so he remembers that. But see, part of traumatic brain injury also, sometimes when you start getting a memory back, anger
Wow.
starts setting in and stuff like
And that's
that.
what I was thinking, because you're
That's-
going to be a good person to help him get into a state of
And
forgiving.
he
and
is
moving
starting to remember it and wanting to get out. His daughter did a videotape and sent it to my husband.
He gonna
So
receive
this
revenge.
time,
So now
This time, the last time we went to see him, they have his hands in netted bags with pillows
What?
right here so he can't pull and stuff and everything,
So
right?
he on some
And
revenge.
and my
Yeah.
husband was asking him something about the accident. He was like, "It is what it is."
Okay.
That's his famous saying. It is what it
That's-
is.
That's my saying too. Don't ask me no more. It is what it is. Point blank. Period.
Yeah, and so we understood that, and then there was, the S-bomb and the F-bomb here or there, and stuff and all. And after we left there, my husband's like, I can't go anymore. He said it's just too emotional, but his daughter sent a video, and you see him, and you can understand what he's saying. He says, I'm getting out of here. And he's trying to go. He said, and then she said, you can't go nowhere, Dad. And he said, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he's winking. And she said, that's all taken care of.
Oh,
You
okay.
gotta stay where you're at. So he's making really good progress. But
Okay.
it's still traumatic for my husband because he's never seen it. I said,
Was it
Let me tell ya.
triggering for you?
no.
No. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But, I was just telling my husband, I said, you gotta be stronger
Strong,
because
yeah.
strong for him.
A good.
You know,
strong support
I said,
system.
You're a strong person. The things you do, you can be strong for him. That gives him inspiration that, okay, come on, you're making progress, you're passing this test and all. He's gonna be in there a long time, because once he gets through all that, he's still got
Yeah,
several
therapy,
surgeries,
yeah.
and he's got rehab and everything.
That process.
So I said, he's gonna make it. I said, and a couple times my husband will get in that doubting mood. I'm like, oh no, mm-mm.
You're
I
a
said,
good woman.
he's gonna make it.
You're a good woman. You're a good woman because you speak positivity.
You got
And you
to.
allow you once you see your husband getting into that downward, you pick him back up and say, no, no, no. And I like how
Yeah.
you speak.
And sometimes
Positivity.
with your coworkers, like one time I was having a really bad day, just all together, we're all around and
Yeah,
everything,
because
and
you said
I wasn't even
Yeah.
speaking nothing. And one of my coworkers, she was like, "Come here," and I went over, and I didn't say nothing. She didn't know that. I guess she just read it in my eyes,
Oh, wow.
and she just hugged me, held me tight. You know what? That made my day.
That's what's
I
up.
needed that
Yeah.
to go on. So then,
You
months, year, whatever, I seen her in the bathroom, and she just crying and everything, and I'm trying to she's always so positive. And then I remembered her son. She lost her son.
And it was like an
The
anniversary
year
birthday or
before,
something.
yeah, it was
Okay.
like the 1 year
Okay.
and everything, and I'm like, well, it's kind of around Christmas,
Okay.
and that's when
Okay.
we all have our
Everything,
moments and everything. It's not always happy for everybody, and and everything. And I didn't say nothing. I just walked over and I gave her a hug. I said, "What comes around goes around."
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. We're gonna stop on that note because that's part of forgiveness. Once you start working on yourself like you did, you'll be able to help others. And that's what God is all about. He don't want us walking around being mean and being spiteful and what is called eye for an eye. He don't want that for us. He want us to
Right.
forgive so we can love and help the next person. Well, we are so glad that y'all watch. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you was able to receive a lot so you can move forward in your journey of forgiveness and become made whole. And we thank you. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, And also share with someone you know who needs to hear this. Bye, you guys.
See ya.